No intro.
No, Matt, stop it.
Sorry. The people get to hear the intro. We don't get to hear the intro. We're here with Doug Garasic.
Hello, hello.
Doug Garasic Park.
Like Jurassic Park, but with a G.
But not spelled the same.
What about the new movie? Do we like that?
I loved it.
Haven't seen it.
What's wrong with you?
I'm sorry.
Are you still Amish?
I am still Amish. Yeah. The hat keeps hitting the microphone and my beard's scratching on it. Sure. Sorry.
New movie I thought was good because it didn't make you think, wow, I like the other ones better. It had its own story. It went somewhere.
Yeah.
And the guy in it, what's his name?
Chris Pratt.
He
Stereo.
was strikingly good looking in the movie.
Yeah, he is.
Yes.
Ripped out. And I was just impressed all overall. I just really like what he did. And
Yeah,
so,
he's like this big action star now.
And I love, what's her name? I think she's so good. Ron Howard's daughter.
I
Bryce.
love her in the thing that I saw her in.
Yeah, Bryce
Are
Howard.
you talking about, was
Bryce
she,
Howard. Dallas Bryce Howard?
She was
Is
in
the word
The
Dallas in
Village, too.
Yeah, she was in The Village.
She's legit.
I think
Didn't she seem exactly the same, though? Like, I kept thinking in Jurassic World she was blind. I wasn't sure what was going on.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, the weird part was at the end when she saw the Jurassic World car driving, and it was like...
That's actually the first time she'd ever seen anything in her life.
Right. She had the stick, and then the guy was wearing red.
I kept getting confused. If the dinosaurs were in costumes and there were people keeping them on the island.
Same claws, though.
Yeah.
I kept waiting to see M. Night Shyamalan show up somewhere on that movie.
Right.
Yeah, and I was like, Adrian Brody's got a big nose, but he's not a dinosaur.
Right,
You know,
right,
like-
right. He's not a raptor, you know?
That's right. That's right.
Do your best not to scream. That's a great line. That's a great line.
Oh man, yeah. I guess I can see what you're saying, but she's kind of the same character.
Doesn't
I
she
guess
feel
I just
the-
like,
She's in
I guess
Spider-Man
I just
3
like that character
as well.
And I don't think she gets a different haircut, which bothers me because it's like I keep identifying you with the same character because of the hair.
Okay.
Yeah.
Change your hair, girl.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a ginger
it.
too. Get over it.
Sure.
Change it.
Yeah, you're
It
like a
is what it
super
is.
ginger.
Easy.
Like,
Easy.
put the gun down.
I have
Doug's got the. You've actually. You have the gun the whole time. Like, you're a first guest to like not let the. I was like, hey, let's take your picture with the gun. This will be fun. And you're like, I'm keeping this. I'm
It's
like,
a little
yes,
bit of
sir.
a safety caution, and I do plan on using this later on my PlayStation.
It's totally
Sweet.
mine. It's totally mine now.
It's totally my hat.
I mean, last time I checked, I'm not getting paid for this, so I'm going to take something in the
That's true.
process.
That's
This
accurate.
guy.
So,
What a businessman.
what he's doing.
That's mess. So we're here. This is like your place, man. We're at the movement. This is your home.
Yep.
We don't live here. That'd be weird. But
some pastors, like the Hunchback of Notre Dame, actually lived in their churches, but
Really?
we've kind of become a little more relevant, maybe a little more evolved as a society.
because I mean, I'm Amish, so I mean,
I know
don't-
the Amish are still living in their churches, but
Yeah,
we'll talk
yeah,
about
yeah.
that later.
What are these strange glowing bulbs in the ceiling?
Electricity.
feels demonic. Said that like Bane. I'm sorry.
Do you realize that, and this is a fun fact, I know we're not really talking about church, but
Anytime.
do you realize that in the 1920s, 1930s, churches were splitting over one major reason? And I try to teach young people this because every time something new comes in church, everybody wants to like fight, or we have a red cup versus a snowflake on our cup, you know,
Sure.
and we forget about the, you know, the medieval goddess that's been on the stamp the whole time, but regardless, either way. And so I always try to teach like our Bible college and our young people, like, think about this. People get torqued up all the time when something's new.
Yeah.
In the 1920s, 1930s, churches were splitting at a rapid rate because of one reason:
What's that?
adding air conditioning to buildings.
Really?
And here's why: because people said that's not the way God intended it. And you're manipulating the atmosphere. Isn't that crazy?
You know,
Jeez.
they kind of have a point, though. You know, when you think about
Dan
it.
is old school.
I am.
Well,
Old soul.
I would be a part of that church split going to the air conditioned church.
Yeah.
I'm like, sorry, I love you all, but I'm not sweating anymore.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
This is terrible.
Yeah.
And then they had like a church split over like Rhodes, like MIDI keyboard sounds, you know, from like the 80s, you know,
Yeah.
like electric piano. Like we want to play music at the end. You're like, no way.
Well, then, you know, it took about 60 years for the next major split to happen, and that was guitar.
Yeah.
Because people were splitting over.
Yeah, I remember that.
The
It was really more of a
Sacrilegious
societal split as a whole.
It
You
got
know, I
real
don't-
bloody. I remember that. Remember the riots in like 87, I think it was?
Yeah.
I'm not
San
sure
Francisco?
our world has still recovered from the guitar just yet.
No.
But it's making a comeback, so
I think
watch out.
I think that all we were saying is give peace a chance was a response to the Guitar Wars.
It
wasn't
was, yeah, it was the Guitar Wars. It was a spin-off TV, like a sci-fi channel. I
The whole
remember.
thing.
Yeah.
It was scary. A lot of people died. It's let's just take a moment of silence real quick for the fallen. Awesome.
I think
feel
it was
better.
I think the guitar was a. Sorry, I won't go.
So we
Paul
are
Meany uses the keytar
we
for
are
you.
in my building.
Yes.
Or one of our campuses, and we're hanging out here in a very small creative room. It's hot.
It is super hot in here.
It is, I know.
You got a hoodie on. Johnny's sitting in. with
Part of
us.
it's because we won't put air conditioning on because we've had too many splits.
Yeah,
So
right. Come on.
Yeah,
I
you're
can't
like-
handle another one.
Right.
We're not making banana splits over here, people.
Yeah, and what's cool is this is a church that's attached to Eastwood Mall.
Yep. Yep.
No, it's a mall attached to a church.
Right.
Oh, man.
Something like that.
That's awesome. You
And-
guys were here first.
Right.
Question
well,
mark?
We are in a mall. Actually, the mall I grew up at. So, like, you grew up here too, right?
330.
330,
Fist
baby.
bump, explosion.
And so, pew pew. We don't have pews. So we opened this up a couple years ago. It's interesting. I've had several jobs in this community growing up here. One of them was at this mall at the Champ Sport. I worked at the Champ Sport in high school.
Okay.
And it was a fun job, but I actually did get beat up at this mall. I got physically assaulted. I had
The Foot Locker guys beat you up?
no, I wish that would have been less embarrassing.
Lady Footlocker.
The Lady Foot Locker guys came and ladies and just beat the mess out of us.
They hated champs.
So there's two things in this mall before I started the church that I remember from this mall. One that were both personal to me. One was I got beat up here. Long story short, a kid met me in a parking lot. He didn't like something that happened between me and his girlfriend. This is before I met Jesus, and he beat the mess out of me. True story.
Awesome.
Second thing was I met Nelly. Do you guys remember Nelly?
Yeah.
I'm going downtown,
Yeah.
baby.
He was here? He worked
He
at
was
TiVo?
here. No,
Music round?
We have the Cafaro Field, which is a minor league baseball stadium, and in the
Scrappers.
summer, go Scrappers. In the summer, they did a concert where he did a concert at Scrapper Stadium.
Oh, gosh.
I'm working at Champs.
Gimme Coca what? Gimme
That's
now.
Light it up. No.
and so, I'm 5'8", ginger redhead, very skinny white kid, and I'm working with another guy who's like small little white guy too. And all of a sudden, about 30 African American guys are in our store. I mean, we thought we were just getting killed. We're like, well,
Yeah.
this is over. They're going to
Sure.
rob all of our shoes, and they're going to murder us. Yeah, and
good thing to do.
There's an entourage.
this is some reverse lynching that's going to happen to us Champ guys. I've already been beat up one time in this mall, so I've got a lot of anxiety.
You're
at this
getting
moment.
nervous. Yeah. You're
I'm
like, I
very
know where
nervous.
this is going.
And all of a sudden, this guy is pushing through, and he's like, "Hey, I need to talk to the manager." And that was my friend. And they talk for a minute, and my manager looks at me and he goes, "Hey, we need to get a size 10.5 set of Air Force Ones." Remember, he had that song, Air Force Ones.
Yeah.
And they said, because Nelly needs them, he's going to come meet you guys and shake your hands. And so it was like this big thing, right? But here's the crazy part about it is they never paid for the shoes. He came, got the shoes,
funny.
and left. And they all moved out. And I looked at my manager and I said, they might pay for this. Like we got so caught up in the moment of Nelly that it's like we just totally got blindsided here. We just got robbed. And so it was fun.
Caught up in the moment of Nelly.
Got caught. I mean, 17-year-old kid get caught up in the moment of Nelly.
Well,
you know?
it's easy to do.
He took his country grammar and walked on out of here
Yeah.
with a free pair of shoes. So
Man,
that was my life. That's my two favorite memories from this mall right there.
getting beat
Oh,
up.
my
and,
gosh.
Well, yeah, favorite, most memorable. Beat
Memorable.
up and then
Nelly-
Nelly stealing from me. Both of traumatic experiences
I
in my
love
life.
you're so responsible. I love that. You're like, hey, man, like, did anybody do this? You know what I mean?
Hey,
You're like,
hey, fella.
pushing your glasses up. Like, you couldn't be more
probably,
white.
This is probably after I already stole a pair of shoes at some point there, but
Not cool, man.
not cool for you, Nelly. I work here, all right, and I make $4 an hour minimum wage at that time.
If I want to steal from the company, I'm going to.
I deserve this because I don't make any money. You are a millionaire.
Right. You know what? These shoes are 20 grand now. Bring it up.
Yeah. So that was my life here at Eastwood Mall.
That's awesome. Where did you, did you grow up? Were you born in Warren?
I grew up, it's called Trumbull Memorial Hospital. Were you born there?
Yeah, Trumbull.
See that?
TMH.
Something like that. And grew up in Warren, grew up like in the hood, like it was bad. Like we were literally the only white people on our road. Like
Yeah.
it was pretty tough. And then, my mother had me at a young age, 16, and then she met a guy, they fell in love, they get married, and he ended up adopting me. And when he adopts me, we moved from Warren to Brookfield. Now, for anyone listening who has no idea Trumbull County,
Yeah, paint the picture.
it is stoplight, cow patties, middle of nowhere. Like there is no street lights. So when you're at night, you're just like, somebody could kill me and bury me somewhere in the woods and you're not going to find me.
Yeah.
And I remember being like 10 years old, not being able to go to sleep because of how quiet it was. All you heard was just mosquitoes, and crickets. And it was really a total change from growing up on a block to being in the country. So that was interesting, as a kid. And then, grew up there, played sports. And then after I worked at Champs, I quit Champs because because I played sports. They weren't very flexible with our schedule. They wouldn't let us be off for practices. But there was one place that would, and it was Mickey D's, McDonald's.
Yeah.
And I love eating, I don't know if you can tell now. I'm like the fat Macklemore. That's kind of like the way I look at life.
I saw your license plate on your car.
My claim to fame. Heavy Mac. That's what my license plate is.
Oh, call back.
There it is.
I've had friends that worked at McDonald's, and you could probably answer this for me.
I love it.
If you take pickles and you throw them on the grill, would they scream?
Yeah. They're like they make like a high pitch.
So that's a real thing.
Strangled. Yeah.
That's awesome. Okay.
And
yes, I've always wanted that.
We loved it. And so the cool thing was at our McDonald's in the small town, they would give jobs to all the guys who played sports, and so it was actually a lot of fun. It wasn't like what you think of McDonald's. It was a lot of fun guys. We all played sports. We had a good time. We were a good group of friends. But they let us play. Like the store manager was so relaxed that we would just do pranks all the time. One of our favorite one was if somebody ordered a milkshake. You'd be using the milkshake machine. You'd fill up the shake, right? And then somebody else would be standing at the drive-through window, and it would be a good 10 feet away, and they would act like they were a catcher, and you would be a pitcher, and we would, because milkshakes would not go out of them. It was so thick.
Sure.
And we would throw the milkshake as hard as we could to him, and they would catch it and then hand it to the person out the window. And we'd all laugh and think it was funny.
And everything stayed. And
one time we didn't seal the lid all the way. Did you ever have that moment?
Oh, yeah.
And when you threw it, I could feel when I let go of it that the lid was breaking.
Right.
No.
But you're already mid-throw.
Yeah.
This is happening.
Got to commit.
This is happening. And my friend Mike Miller, who I love to this day, he was the best man at my wedding, was standing there, and he wrestled. He was ripped out, all muscled out, and he's like, "Come on, right here." And I throw it, and I could feel, and I'm throwing. I go, "No!" And it just covers him all over. He looks like he's bathed into some vanilla milkshake.
Right.
And he looks over to the person in the drive-thru, and he's like, "Can you pull up, please, sir, please?" As milkshake is just dripping down his face. So we did stuff like that all the time.
That's fun.
So one day they said, "Doug, we need you to open the next day. We need you to open up the store 6 a.m. on Saturday." And they give me the keys on a Friday night. And I thought it would just be fun to ask a few of my friends to come over. We're going to fire up the grills about 11 o'clock at night.
Cool.
We're going to eat some stuff. We're going to get some nuggets, and we're going to have a good time.
Yeah.
We're
Sure.
going to party.
I'm
Get
with
some
you.
nuggets.
But some of my friends were shady individuals.
Sure.
And so all of a sudden, some alcoholic beverages in the store and some pills and some drugs. And
Turned into Chuck E. Cheese.
and then they started inviting other people. And
gosh.
next thing you know, I mean, this is like something out of a movie.
It's like, that's what
This is not normal. This is not real, right? As I look around, I start realizing there's about 30 people in this McDonald's.
Jeez.
And it's about 1 a.m.
Right.
And people are taking beer, shotgun shots. People are, we're all a little bit on the edge here. And we're firing, we're cooking McDoubles, left and right. We're making big and nasties. You might know them as big and tasties. We're just making them, right? Nuggets galore. People are doing McGriddles. And it's just a wild, we're eating all the inventory of the store at this point. And what I didn't know was that there was a silent alarm attached to that McDonald's. And so, now that I have properties and buildings, I get phone calls almost every week from one of our properties, the alarm going off. And usually it's just somebody's typing a code in wrong or, whatever.
Yeah.
And they'll say, "Do you want us to dispatch police, or do you want us, are you going to go check it out, or did you do it yourself?" And so the owner of the store lived in Brookfield. This is a terrible situation for me. And he says, "No, don't send the police because you get billed for that. Let me just drive by and see what's going on at the store." And his account of the moment was he saw me on the roof.
On the roof?
We got to the hatch of the roof. This is
Yeah.
I didn't even.
Well,
tell
that was
part of the story.
inevitable. I mean, I was just waiting for it to happen.
There's
Raise the roof.
there are people in the store and people on the roof. This McDonald's in this small town.
Sure.
And I am shotgunning a beer. and he drives by and sees me does this.
Okay.
What's the music? Is there like, does somebody bring a boombox?
Sure. I
Like,
mean,
this is how we do it.
that was about that era too. That was pretty much.
God, we're back again.
It's like trampolines.
We went from
front flips.
Montel Jordan to Backstreet Boys effortlessly.
Yeah.
Effortlessly.
I'm what's the song?
And then we went to Master P, make him say over and over and over. And then Nelly showed up and
Nelly
was wearing the
shows
Air Force Ones, and I said, "Take them off, please."
It's time to pay the piper.
Pay for him.
He just wanted drugs. I'm kidding. I'm kidding, Nelly. I don't know you, and I'm sure you don't do drugs.
Or you do.
Or you do, but that's your choice. That's my prerogative. That was on too. See?
That was
Little
on.
Bobby Brown.
Yeah, some parachute pants.
I was picturing jump around. That was being
Oh,
blasted.
yeah.
Just a bunch of Irish white guys.
Jump around. Jump around.
Finally, rap for white people.
Yes. Just dumping Heinekens on each other.
Ooh, O'Doul's.
So
I don't know how to party right. This is strange.
we're white kids in the country. This is how they do it on the movies. I saw this on Varsity Blues. So that was our life pretty much. And so he drives by, sees it, and actually doesn't do anything. He told the store manager, who was kind of like a mother to all of us young guys. Like, she took care of us. She's just a nice lady.
Yeah.
He was like, listen, if the kids got the kahunas to throw a party at my store, I at least let him finish it before I fire him.
Nice.
That's what he said to her. And
classy.
next morning, I was so hungover, for lack of better words, and full of McNuggets.
Yeah.
That after I basically unlocked the building and fired up the grills, I laid down on the floor in the back room, and the only way I could get a blanket was somebody covered me with a newspaper because I was so drunk.
Oh my!
And so the store manager comes in, and I'm laying with a newspaper like a homeless person in the back of McDonald's. She kicks me. I never forget. She kicks me. Mary Piper, I love you to this day. She kicked me and said, "You need to get your butt up and go sober up." And I went home, slept it off. She asked me to come in at like 5 o'clock that evening, like that afternoon, and gave me the boot. Fired me right there.
Wow.
Cried her eyes out. She said, "You big knucklehead, you
my
couldn't do
gosh.
this somewhere else." And
So, were you a manager or just?
I was like a crew leader. I guess that's kind of
Okay.
like a manager. You know, like it was the first time I got keys. It was, like
Yeah,
the first
yeah.
day. It was like they christened me in this moment, and
They
I
knight
was,
you with some McNuggets or the hamburger comes. It's a real.
I
fancy
was
thing.
not ready to be a Jedi just yet in the
Yeah.
McDonald's world. I was still an apprentice. So.
There's so much like the visual things in my brain going on. Like I see him like on the wall, like crew leader, like the picture, you know, and there's like ketchup and mustard gets sprayed on his face, and slow pan over to the people dancing on the counters, and
that was real
Cypress
life.
Hill.
And so the one thing about that, even though I got fired and everybody, my family was really mad at me, and I, didn't have any money now, it became a little like notorious. So like people started saying, like even to this day at church. So we have these multiple sites around our community. And I grew up here, and so people will show up at church, and they'll say to me, because I'm the pastor of this church, I had to come see it for myself to believe that you're really a pastor today.
Wow.
Because I was at that party at McDonald's, or I remember when you did that. A guy who actually worked with me at Mickey D's, him and his wife, Nate and Megan, they come here.
Yeah.
And the day he saw me, he said, I had to see it for myself.
Wow.
That you're really pastoring a church. He almost came out of a joke. And then, with my belief of what God can do in someone's life, it grabbed the gospel grabbed a hold of his life, and it started changing him like it started changing me.
Yeah.
After those moments happened in my life. So it's kind of interesting pastoring in a community where you were known for an extremely different version of yourself.
Yeah.
And, I didn't grow up as a Christian. I didn't grow up following Christ. And when I had my experience with God and it changed me, seeing people now, they don't know that you've been changed. So they come in thinking like you're like a snake oil salesman, like you've like gone to a different way to work people. And you're like, no, I'm just like trying to help people now.
Yeah, you're like, but seriously, what's the end game? They're like, no, there's no game here.
So it's super interesting to be in the community that I grew up in, and I know people, or people know me from some sort of situation, but not church.
Yeah. Oh
Just
my
cool.
gosh.
Kind of
Yeah.
interesting.
It's got to be challenging too, though, because like sometimes people are like, "Oh, I know that guy."
Yeah.
It's like that familiarity at times, but
Yeah.
no, you guys are doing amazing work here. It's awesome.
Well, we're having a lot of fun. When we started the church, we really had our intention was, let's build a church for people who don't like church. So if we're gonna get people who don't go to church, we got to put churches where they don't really belong. And we, and so we started putting churches. Here's basically how we said it: we want to put churches where they don't belong to get people who don't belong in church.
That's cool.
And so that's why we have 2 of them in malls, and one we bought a bar in the downtown, which was an awesome experience buying a bar. As a Christian.
I have to hear the story because I talked off mic with Sam, and he mentioned about what happened in the bar, like somebody died or something.
Well, yeah. So the tragedy of this bar was in downtown Warren, right in the heart of the city. On a New Year's Eve, a young man got shot and killed, which was tragic. And from that, the city had such a disgust with this bar because the bar was like called on. The police were called like 27 times that bar in 6 months.
Wow.
People were just like so sick of it. All it did was bring problems to the downtown.
Yeah.
And so the community was like putting a lawsuit against the bar because they're so sick of it being in their community. Well, so the guy just decides to close up shop because he can't take the heat anymore and puts a for sale sign up. And so I think, even though it's so sad what happened to that young man, I thought there was an opportunity to show our community that from things that cause death, life can come. Life can come from death.
Sure.
And let's put something in the downtown that can breathe life into the downtown again. And we just felt like it was the right space. And so we approach him, and the guy is just like, what do you want to do with this space? We're like, well, we want to, buy it and put a church in and do outreach and help the community. He's like, you got to be bleepity, bleepity, bleep. He's just like, I'm like, sir, how drunk are you right now?
I was going to say, was he perpetually drunk?
Were you at the party? And I was 18 and still hungover from it.
87.
I remember those days. And so he was like just cussing up a storm, not happy with the idea of a church. He's like, how you guys got to buy my liquor license? It's $50,000. I'm like, sir, I do not need your liquor license.
Yeah, right.
The city's actually, I don't know if you're aware of this, but I read in the papers the city's reviewing your liquor license. They're actually going to be taking it from you.
Yeah.
So I'm not interested. And he was just not working with us at all. And so I was telling some people at our church that, and to know our church, you have to know there's people that go to our church who have never been to church before, or if they've never been a part of church before. They maybe attended a Christmas service, but they're not church people. So they're rough, they cuss, they think very like, well, logically, let's just fix the situation by beating that person up or something crazy,
Yeah.
And this is a very mob-driven community. It's got a heavy Italian mob mentality.
Sure.
And so there's a guy at our church. His name was Big Rick, and that's actually what he wanted us to call him. That's what everybody knew him as in the community. And he found out that this guy wasn't working with us. He said, hey, Doug, you want me... I'm going to come with you next time you go to talk to that dude. Tell him Big Rick's coming. And I'm like, okay. And now other people told me, hey, Big Rick did a little enforcing for the mob back in his day. He's better today, but, he used to take care of some mob situations.
Wow.
Big Rick shows up to our next negotiation with this guy. And I'm telling you, when the guy sees Big Rick's face come in the room, he goes white and ghost. And he is like, oh, hello. He's like calling him sir. And I'm like, what is this guy was bleep, 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 get out of here, buy this, buy that. Literally, it was like a night and day experience. He sees Big Rick. Big Rick and him talk for a few minutes by themselves. He comes back out and he's like, what was the price again that you were going to offer me for the bar? We put the price down. He says, I'll go ahead and take that today.
Wow.
I don't know what Big Rick told him.
Wow.
I don't know what happened in the situation. All I know is we had the favor of God with Big Rick in the room.
Yeah, it helps.
Then we get this bar, and then there was this great story in our community, and we transformed into a church, and it just has really been a cool thing to see what's happened in our area. Yeah. We're just trying to be a part of the solution because there's been a lot of either young people in our community either leave or they become part of the problem. Yeah. And we've been trying to say, hey, you don't have to do that. We can be part of the solution around here.
Absolutely.
It's been cool.
That's awesome. Yeah, and I've been down to the Warren campus too. It's awesome. It looks so good. It's all redone. We were there during construction a while back, and then I saw it all finished. I'm like, this looks awesome.
We've got great volunteers here and great people that want to help. It's interesting if you rally people behind a vision and you say, hey, let's do something. Let's do something great. Often people want that. They just want permission to do it. And so these guys, I have so many talented people in this community, and it's like, all you have to do is give them permission. And they're like, cool, let's do this. It had like 1930 tin ceilings that were totally destroyed. I had no idea how to fix these things. I heard it's like fixing cars, dents in cars, how hard it is to work with this stuff.
Wow.
And a guy walks in who was new to our church, and he said, I'd like to volunteer. And my first thing I kind of said sarcastically was like, yeah, you know anybody who can fix these tin ceilings? He looked at me dead in the face and said, I retired from doing that for 30 years for the city.
Wow.
I've been restoring buildings for 30 years for the city.
Wow.
This is all I used to do was work with 10.
Oh my
and
gosh.
I mean, it was crazy. It was like, this is nuts. Like, this would happen.
Yeah, so
and so for
specific.
6 weeks, he just came in a little bit at a time and took care of the whole thing, which is awesome. So,
Oh, wow.
Cool,
So
cool stuff.
So cool. So what school did you go to growing up?
I went to about 5 or 6 schools actually. I kind of
Okay.
bounced around a little bit. I was most of my time was at Brookfield schools when we moved there at 10. But then I got kicked out my junior year. This is before I met Jesus. Okay,
Sure.
folks. So this is BC. All right,
BC
everybody.
days, yeah.
This is what we call in the Pentecostal world under the blood. and so I got kicked out of public school my junior year, and I ended up going to this is actually how I became a Christian. Is I ended up going to a private Christian school because it's the only school that would accept me. My senior year, it was either don't graduate or wait a year. Which, I mean, who wants to wait a year and hang out with the juniors? You know,
no
it's
way.
like, come on,
No
I'm
way.
not doing this. And so I'm like, I ain't going back. I'm telling you that right now. I was like a guy getting out of prison. Like, hey, if I got to do my time, I ain't going back. So, my mom, who's just like the most incredible woman to me, she, at the time I despised her, but you look back on life, you realize, man, your parents were really trying to help you.
Yeah.
And she says to me, when I get this letter of expulsion, she's like, listen, you got yourself in this mess. You need to figure out how to get out of this mess, And I think the problem today, not to like hark on parents, but I think the problem, and I'm a parent and I'm guilty of this too. It's like we so desperately want to fix our kids' problems for them because we think they don't have the capacity or they don't have the wherewithal to pull it off.
Yeah.
And they're going to screw their life up somehow.
Yeah.
But the problem is like I don't know about you, but the only time I grow in life is through my pain. I don't really ever grow through my success.
It's true.
I will live in my success and enjoy it, but you're not really growing in success.
Yeah. You're on autopilot, kind of.
Right.
Cruise control.
You're just enjoying it. And you grow through your pain. You go through your disappointments. And my mother basically, even though she wanted me to graduate, said, listen, you're going to have to figure this out. Like this isn't, you got yourself in this mess. You need to get yourself out of this mess. We will give you advice, but we're not going to go do this for you. We're not going to go and find a school for you or do this. And I had to make up my mind. Do I want to be a bum, and not even finish, or do I want to, do something? And so I picked up the phone and started calling these Christian schools because I knew that private schooling was the only way that you could graduate on time.
Jeez.
And or get homeschooled, and she's like, "That ain't happening, homie." Like
I'm
you ain't
curious
saying
what
it.
your like sales pitch is like. You're like, yeah, I was just calling because
Right. And so I was
have an
very
expulsion letter.
remember. So I was not a Christian then, and so I was like being very sketchy about like I'm like, yeah, so I'm not going back to like public school this year because like I really want to like grow in my faith. Like I'm saying things
like
that are
reading the manual.
Yeah, like I'm like learning about Christian terms. I'm like I really feel led to come here. I'm like, why do they say these words? But okay. They're like, well, praise God.
what does that mean?
Yeah, and they're all excited. I'm like looking up, what does praise God mean right now? And the one thing was, because I played sports, they had a pretty disastrous sports program. Well, I didn't know this because they offered me a scholarship to come to their school.
Oh, wow.
Because the coaches tried me out and they saw some tape of my old games and
Yeah. What were you playing?
basketball, and
Okay.
then they wanted to give me a full ride. I had to play a second sport for them. So I played soccer 1 year of my life. It was like, okay, let me get out on this field and run like a chicken with my head cut off. But I figured it out. I mean, we didn't, but like the crazy thing is like, I thought when they offered me a scholarship that this was a school that recruited like athletes. I'm like, this is going to be sweet. Like, I'm going to get to play like an AAU basketball team. Like this, like, maybe LeBron's coming here. I don't know, know.
There's been rumors.
Well, same age as LeBron, same year graduate, everything. So I used to always say, what's the who's coming out of Ohio, Doug or LeBron? I mean, who's it going to be?
Yeah.
I was really the only one saying that. I don't think anybody else was saying
Who's
that.
Doug?
Yeah. You mean that funny kid that threw that party with Nelly? So here am I, like totally like audition. They gave me a scholarship. I show up for the first day. I'm pumped. I'm like, you know what? This is going to work out. I'm going to be like playing ball. I'm going to, I already had so many credits that I only had to take like 3 classes my senior year. I had all these study halls. I was a gym aide. I'm like, this is going to be freaking awesome.
Gym aide.
I love that. I mean, I'm like so pumped up for this, right? And I show up and I sit in this classroom and there was 8 people in the room. There was 8 people.
Wow.
And I'm like, hey, is this one of like the senior classes? Like, is this one of our home rooms? And he said, this is the entire senior and junior class.
Oh my gosh.
And I had a mini stroke.
Sure.
I literally started seizuring, and I was
LeBron might not be.
I'm like, is LeBron coming? No.
You'd definitely be able to spot him though.
Right. And I mean, I'm looking around. There's 8 juniors and seniors, and there's maybe 15 sophomore and freshmen.
Wow.
And they're like, this is a school. Like, I guess their kindergarten through like 5th grade is huge.
Okay.
But then parents, like, kids don't want to be in these small schools. They want to go to their public school. Mm-hmm. And so then they all start, like, they get this great foundation of like a Christian education and a really great classroom environment and at early ages. But then the kids, there's not as many options at these Christian schools. So then they go, well, they want to go to public school where their friends are or whatever, what have you.
More people, more kids.
Right. Yeah, they don't want to be one of 10. Mm-hmm. They want to be one of a couple hundred, you know, and so it was like, I didn't have any idea about that at all. I mean, I just come in.
Yeah.
I mean, I seriously, probably the first day I had a legitimate anxiety attack. Like,
wow.
I was asking questions like, so do we all have class together the whole time?
Right.
Is this homeschool? Like, have I become Amish overnight? Like, what is going on here? You know?
Yeah, I like you see the brochure. You're doing research, and it's just the same like 4 kids, like lunch lady and basketball. You're like, this is the same guy.
They actually like were going to other schools taking pictures of kids, like photoshopping their logo on polos and stuff.
The guys from Saved by the Bell,
right? Yeah.
Why Slater in all
I've
these?
Been looking for Zach all day.
Beat Valley. What the heck?
Man, California dreaming right now.
Yeah.
And so that was pretty crazy going to that. But here's the thing. So we have to go to chapel, and chapel is like staunch. It's like, dude, like you have to wear a white button up with a black tie, which I didn't even own one. You know, it's like, this is crazy. You go to these chapel services, and most of them were guys that were 40, 50 years older than us. They're retired pastors. They're like reading out of King James, which nothing's wrong with that. But to a 17, 18-year-old who doesn't even know Jesus, this is so not relevant. This doesn't make sense to my life. Sure. I'm only here to finish high school. I have to hang out with the same people every freaking day. Most of them are basically homeschoolers, you know? Yeah. They're like, this is a collab. You know, it's just a terrible experience. The basketball team is atrocious.
I bet.
I went from being a role player on a team, defense and facilitating and taking care of my teammates, to like, well, you're the only one here who's ever really played, so you're going to shoot the ball 30 times.
Right.
I'm like, when did I become Allen Iverson all of a sudden here?
You took the words out of my mouth.
Like,
feed it to Doug. Feed it to Doug. You know the plan.
Doug actually knows how to dribble. Give him the ball.
Was that fun for you? Where you're like, I'm just crushing.
Here's what
52 points in a game.
No, so literally, there were several games where I scored over 30. Yeah. And my friends that I played with back at Brookfield would get the papers, because we'd always look on Monday like at all the breakdown scores and all this stuff. Yeah. They would see me and they're like, my nickname was Jurassic Park. Yeah. And they go, Jurassic Park is killing it. Oh, yeah. Dougie Fresh is killing it. Like they would be calling me like, why didn't you play like this for us? Right. I'm like, you have no idea what's going on right now.
So funny.
You don't know. Don't come to any games. You don't know what world I'm living in. Yeah. I'm like in a paradox world right now.
Literally shooting in a peach basket.
Yeah. And then here's the reality: we're playing other Christian schools, and then also some homeschool collaborative groups. Awesome. So I am bawling on these kids. Yeah. Like, I'm embarrassing these kids, but I'm hating it because we're still losing all the time. Because literally the starting shooting guard was like a 9th grader or an 8th grader who like didn't even know how to dribble the ball yet. Wow. He would get the ball and wait for me to come around, and he would hand the ball to me so I could dribble down the court.
Yeah.
It was terrible. And here's what I learned. This is like a principle I learned in life. I would rather be on the bench of a winner than the star of a loser.
Yeah.
I'm serious. I'd
That's
rather
cool.
be on the bench of a winner, which I wasn't really on the bench when I played at Brookfield, but I wasn't. It wasn't revolving around me.
Yeah.
I was just a role player on the team.
Yeah.
I'd rather be on the bench of a winner than be the star of a loser, because
Yeah.
we won like 4 games out of 19. It was just miserable. I hated it, even though I was scoring like crazy. So, but back to chapel. I'm at these chapels. It's terrible. I'm hating it. I'm not enjoying it at all. And one day, this guy comes in who's a youth pastor locally. Back then, I mean, you guys are all about the same age I am.
Mm-hmm.
When I played, I had one tattoo when I played high school ball, and you had to cover it up. You had to put a giant bandage over it. Now today, if you don't have full sleeves and neck tattoos in high school, they're like, "Get off the court, white boy." You know? It's like everybody's like totally tatted out now in high school.
Yeah.
But back then, it was hugely taboo, so I had to cover it up.
Wow.
And so when this guy came to speak at this chapel, he wore like normal clothes. He had a little bit of a tattoo showing. He was muscled out, and all those things kind of opened the door for me to listen. None of that really changed my life. It just opened the door for me to listen to him.
Yeah.
And he started talking, and like the way he was describing the gospel and Jesus, it was like, man, this makes sense. This is like what I want in life. I want this peace. I want this joy. I want love. I'm sick of screwing up my life, you know?
Yeah.
And so he really touched my heart. And so I ended up starting going to his youth ministry way out in Kinsman, which is another farm town.
Yeah.
But man, like I went there for like 6 weeks. I kind of evaluated it for myself. And one day he just gave this real simple, man, if you don't know Jesus and you want to really know him, it's not just coming to church. It's about really talking to him and confessing your sin, giving your heart to him, turning over from where you've been. I want you to come up here. And so he had every head bowed, every eye closed.
Yeah.
And not growing up in church, I had no idea that church kids just look around the whole time. They're like,
Sure.
they're just like searching for anybody who's going to.
Oh, they put their hand up.
Yeah, I like raise my hand, not knowing. I stand up. He says, "Come up front." I'm like walking up front, and I decide to look around the room. There's like 150 teenagers here. I look around the room, and everybody's looking at me, and I'm like, loser.
Close your eyes.
Yeah. I go up front, and he prays with me, and that started a new journey for me, you know, halfway through my senior year. That's kind of where my life made a change.
Wow.
And it hasn't been easy, and it wasn't perfect, but we just keep at it. You know, 12 years later, I'm just still doing it, you know?
Yeah, that's so cool.
That was my journey.
That's sweet. And we talked before, you mentioned you worked with a radio station?
Yeah. And so here's the crazy thing. When I became a youth pastor, I was 20 years old. 2 years after I gave my heart to Christ, I become a youth pastor at a great church in our area, and I'm working for them, and I'm building up the youth ministry, and I start doing concerts, like these concerts with like big Christian artists like Disciple and, you know, people like Stellar Cart, stuff that like in the Christian world, if you're from that, you're like, yeah, amen, you know,
Turn it up.
you got me in Jesus, you know, and you know, but it was drawing tons of teenagers, like 500, 600, 800 teenagers a night. We had the venue for it, so we just kept doing these shows.
Where was it at? Like just at the church?
Pleasant Valley Church, yeah.
Oh, yeah,
and
yeah.
so they got a big gymnasium and all,
Yeah,
and it was
big
just
place.
perfect. It was really great. And so I'm doing all these shows. Well, part of doing good concerts is you got to have radio connection, you know, especially in the local market. To, like, come on, you got to come out, right? And so I work with this radio station. It was called Freak 107. It was a local Christian radio station, and I was advertising our shows, right? Well, after one of our big advertisements with them, their management team asked to have a meeting with me. And so I meet him at a diner in Hubbard, Ohio, and we sit down, and the guy that I work with, and like 2 suits come in. And I'm thinking I'm getting sued because I did something wrong on the radio.
Yeah.
Like, listen here, whippersnapper, you know, you really screwed the pooch on this one. Waiting for something like.
I got to go teach a Bible class at a small Christian college.
Yeah. And so they're like, I'm waiting for them to say like I really screwed up something, or I broke our contract, or I breached something. And they sit down and are like, have you ever thought about radio? And I'm like, I don't know. What do you mean thought about radio? Like, I think of the radio when I'm listening to it. And they're like, no, like we think you'd be a pretty decent DJ. And we have an evening show, 4 o'clock to 8 o'clock, 4 hours, 5 nights a week that we're looking for a guy to do it. Would you be interested? And I'm like 21. And I'm like, listen, I don't know anything about radio. I don't know what do you mean? Like, do I have to come there every night and do this show? And they're like, listen, we'll work out all the details. We really like you. And they said, look around at us right now. And so the guy I was working with was like this 300-pound, 48-year-old guy who was actually living at the radio station, kind of like the Hunchback of Notre Dame that we talked about earlier.
Callback.
He was like living there. He was our morning show guy, and then the suits are like, we're all in our 40s and 50s. You're young, you're fresh, you're what our listeners we want to be.
You're Dougie Fresh.
I'm Dougie Fresh, actually.
Sure.
Let's get it right.
And so they said, we want to build this show around you, and then we also want you to go to every live event we're sponsoring and kind of be our Trojan horse. Like, you're like the guy. You got to look the part. You got to act the part. You'll interview artists, and we just want you to do this. And what's funny is I had a friend named Andy who went to school for radio, and he was so jelly. He told me this years later, like, dude, I hated you.
Yeah.
Like, you walk in, you fall into all this stuff. Yeah. And it's like, you fell into being a youth pastor. You fell into the radio, and he's like, "That's what my dream is to do this." Yeah. And so I just said, "I'm sorry," but I just said, "Yeah, I mean, I'm just gonna." I told him, "Sure, if you guys will show me." And so I ended up being on the air for like 3 years, man. It was a lot of fun. I got to interview major artists like John Foreman from Switchfoot, all these big time people. Got to have dinner with Tim Tebow and interview him on the radio show, and just all this stuff opened up because I was doing this itty bitty little FM radio station, and I had a blast. It was just a lot of fun.
Yeah. It was so cool because I could tell you're on radio. You have that like radio. Did you always talk like this?
No.
Like, is this your personality kind of like?
I've always been really emphatic. I've always been really passionate.
Yeah.
I read a couple books on the art of communicating, and I also had a great mentor, Chris Gilkey, who's got a dynamite voice. And he would tell me all the time, he said, "Doug, here's some little things you do with your voice that if you would fix this, it's going to sound good. People are going to like to hear you."
That's cool.
Especially if your career is going to be communicating.
Sure.
You're going to want people to like your voice,
Yeah.
And when I got on the radio show, that morning guy who lived there, I mean, he had an awesome radio voice, 30-year pro, been doing it forever. And so I've always been a pretty, I like to learn from people. So I don't know if you call it humble. I never think that I know better than the person next to me. And if I sense you're doing it right, I'm like, hey, can you tell me how you did that?
Right.
You know, like, how did you do that? And so I remember asking, his name was Dana. I said, "Dana, can you teach me how to talk on the radio?"
Yeah.
And so he taught me really weird things, but they work. Like when you use the word W, it's not saying it's the word double and the word you. So you don't say it like how maybe up in the Midwest we say it. You literally have to say the word double, and you say the word you every time you say W, that makes that radio, you know.
Sound, you can hear it.
Evening Rock with Doug Garasic, www.freak107.com, and all that kind of. And I didn't do that. Like those were like, they also have people that do those kind of plugs, you know. But you just had to be
like the ESPN guy,
right?
Yeah.
But I had to do little like, you're listening again here to Evening Rock with Doug Garasic, thank you, all that kind of stuff. And the fun part was when my show really started picking up, people that were doing advertising with our radio station would start requesting for me to do their commercials.
Oh, cool.
Right?
Yeah.
Which was interesting because I didn't know how to do this. And they're like, well, they want that young voice. And you're the evening guy, so they want to target that evening audience of the 14 to 30-year-old crowd that's listening right now, you know? And so it kind of started morphing into me doing more and more for the station and getting sponsored. Like my show got sponsored, and, Red Bull was involved, and we had all these really cool things. And I was just kind of going along for the ride, to me, I always knew someday it was going to end.
Yeah.
So I was just enjoying it while I had the chance to do it.
Yeah.
And so it was something that I always think was fun. And I think that I still have some small clips of my shows that every once in a while when I want to be stupid, I'll play them for people and be like, yeah, you didn't realize you're hanging out with a local celebrity. I know it's difficult for you to.
Kind of a big deal.
It's kind of a big deal.
They get all weird and stuff.
Yeah.
You're like, just calm down.
Nobody says anything for a few minutes and it gets awkward.
Yeah.
And then I tell my Nelly story again.
They offer you like a Sharpie and a pencil.
Yeah.
I'm like,
is this what you want? Is this the end of this? Can I end this conversation if I ask for your signature?
Absolutely. That's what people are basically looking for. Can we be done with this right now?
We always love impressions. Do you do any impressions?
I don't feel confident that I have like
some go-tos.
Like some go-tos.
Okay, that's fine. I just was curious. We always try to ask our guests if they do any. We want to make sure we capture.
Emma says, "Give me your ABCs." says. I do that to my 1-year-old. He loves that.
Yes.
Elmo says.
It kills the
And
1-year market.
the 1-year-old market just loves that
love
stuff. No, I know like my friend who, you work with Daniel Groves or Daniel Eric. I like to always call him Daniel Eric because it just feels so much more boss than other things.
He likes it that way.
I think he does like it that way.
Mm-hmm. He's like, drop the Eric. And he's like,
I've been calling him Danny and he doesn't like that.
Ooh, no.
Hey, Danny. Old Danny boy, you. He hung up on me. But he can do some impressions.
Yeah.
He's got some incredible
He
ones.
does some obscure ones, too. He does some, like, pastors and different people.
Right. If he knows you long enough, he'll get you down.
Yeah.
Like, he'll I have a pastor friend of mine that I like to do his too. Sammy and I, who you guys just interviewed.
Yeah.
Sammy and I like to do this impression together. And is my friend, his name is Pierre Duplessis. Okay. He's from South Africa, but he pastors in New York, an incredible church called the Father's House.
Okay.
And what I love, he's one of the few people I'll actually listen to him preach, like, and really, like, for me, like, absorb it and enjoy his communicating. Mm-hmm. And he has this wonderful, tender voice, and he goes, "Welcome to the Father's house. My name is Pierre. We're so excited that you're here with us tonight." And he it's so beautiful.
Yeah.
And one time, him and I took a picture together, because I kind of treat him like a celebrity too. And I'm like, I get starstruck around him. Yeah. And so we took this picture, and he posted on Instagram, which is like, that's when you feel legit. If somebody uses their Instagram account to post about you, you're like, come on. And he took this picture, and he he talked about how much he enjoyed connecting with me. This is when we first met. And then he hashtagged the term lion's blood. Okay. Sam couldn't get over this. Mm-hmm. Okay. Sam created a whole scenario that Pierre was connecting with me because he lives off of lion's blood.
Okay.
And he needs that blood to survive.
I'm tracking.
And so he would say things like, like Sam would do a Pierre impression. He goes, "Oh, Doug, come close to me." And then he would try to bite my neck, And so this is how the office runs here on a regular basis.
I love it.
So.
He said something about Legion of Doom or something, or like there's some WWF wrestler. Did he say you could do Legion of Doom guys or something?
Let me think. I grew up loving wrestling. Okay, wrestling was it in the 90s for me, right? My dream in life, I would go to Powers Auditorium in Youngstown.
Yeah.
My aunt would buy me tickets every year for my birthday to go watch wrestling, WWF. I won't call it that other name.
That's right.
I'm an OG here.
That's right.
And I would desire so badly to meet Bret Hart, the Hitman.
Yeah.
And all I wanted him to do was take those sweaty glasses off and put it on my face. And then following that, I wanted the Bushwhackers to lick me repeatedly. If you know wrestling, they lick
that
you
was their
crazy.
thing. Yeah. That's not weird.
Today, as a 30-year-old, I still somewhat desire them to lick my face. I don't know where I should go with that, but
okay.
Yeah. I would want that to happen at some point in my life.
I had a crush on Jem in the 80s. So she was the first girl I kissed. I kissed the TV with Jem.
You kissed?
She's truly outrageous.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And so, we would do, what a rush, and what happened was we had another guy on our staff, and, we were all about to go into a meeting, and this guy grew up in Southern California, no wrestling background. He's very churched, doesn't know anything about any of that kind of stuff. And we were going to have a meeting with a couple guys, and I said, listen, because we were always joking about Legion of Doom. I said, go up to one of our other pastors and say, "Hey, baby, what a rush." And say it, because he will lose it if you say this, because everybody knows you're not into that at all. Yeah. And so I give him the nod, like, to do this moment, and he's like, "How's your rush?" And we're like, "Dude, never again.
Not even close.
Never again."
You're getting out of those words.
Yeah, so we're donezo with you. I'll stop an interview if somebody can't nail it, and he can nail it, so we're done.
Yeah, we're done.
That's it.
Shut it down.
So what else is new? What else we're talking about?
I don't know.
I don't even know.
Gosh, so funny.
I just rambled for like
perfect
45 minutes of this interview.
That's exactly what we're looking for.
What we want.
Randomness.
Any other funny stories? High school.
There's a
sports
lot.
stories.
There's a lot.
Hardest time you ever laughed. Pranks.
Oh, there's just so many. Quick sports. So I tried football one year. Okay, and if you can see, Google me if you're listening to this. You'll see the massive man that I am. Most of it's covered up with layers of fat now, but I was skinny as a rod in high school, about 130 pounds wet, 5'7", 5'8", just a rod, right? And basketball, that's okay. It's not terrible, but football, not so much, not really the sport. So they asked me to come out to be a quarterback because I can run. And I'm like, I can't even do this. I can't even see over the line. And so they also decided to try me out on defense as like a safety.
Right.
And so I'm playing safety, and I don't even know what I'm doing out there.
Yeah.
And we had a great team, and our team was blowing people out. And normally they would throw me in once we were up by like 30 or 40 points, and they would send me in with this B squad of football players, and we'd just be out there losing points.
Playing a prevent.
Yeah, like try not to screw up, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm out there, we're blowing this school out. I think it was LeBray. We're blowing them out.
Yeah.
And they have this running back he's a man child. I mean, it's like somebody checked this kid's ID because he has a full beard, and he's out here playing with freshmen. I'm not sure exactly what's going on right now. But our first string defense shut him down, right? Well, he's wanting to get some yards. He wants a little bit of revenge. And so we're out there. Remember, I'm drifting 15 yards behind everybody else. I'm free safetying, right? And he breaks through the line. It's like parting of the Red Sea. Mm-hmm. And he is train trucking towards me, right?
And he's not worried about dodging you.
So here's what he does. What he could have easily done is veered away and just out sprinted me and took it to the house because he's like 6'2".
Yeah.
He could have easily just went there. Mm-hmm. He sees me, locks onto me, and starts zeroing towards me because he wants to pancake me, put me on the ground, and just train truck me and keep going because they're mad they've been getting blown out, right?
Sure.
So instead of going after him, I start backpedaling, and I'm backing up, trying to get away from this guy, but I don't want to turn my back from him because I don't want him just to hunt me down like the small child that I am at this time, right? And I'm backpedaling, and when he gets literally inches towards me, I trip on my own shoe. Oh. And when I go to trip, I start falling backwards. As I'm falling backwards, out of reaction, I reach for him, and I grab his jersey.
Genius.
And it looks like I toss him 5 yards down the field. He gets up with like the grass in his helmet kind of moment. Yeah. And I get up, and the crowd, all our parents, just light up cheering, like screaming and chanting and cheering. And I'm looking at him, and I just lift my hands in the air like I'm Gladiator, like I just won this competition, right? All I did was trip and grab a hold of this guy, right?
Yeah.
Are you not entertained? I'm so fired up. Like the crowd is cheering. Everybody's going nuts. Teammates are running on the field slapping my helmet because I made this incredible play.
It was mostly his momentum.
And it was all his momentum.
And you're just using it
all I
against
did
him.
was just try to save myself from tripping and being assaulted.
Science. But I tackled him with science.
But here's the thing you have to know about me. I still took all the credit. I did not say, no, you guys don't understand. I was falling. No,
we are partying at McDonald's tonight.
Tonight. Let's live it up. All of a sudden, Black Eyed Peas break out all over the place. What is Black Eyed Peas, right? Who are they really?
I'm not sure.
They're rap for people who hate rap, and they're pop for people who hate pop.
Yeah,
I mean, nobody likes them.
Yeah, it's a perfect balance.
Go pee your pants again, Fergie. Sorry, that was over the line. So that happened in high school. That was a pretty interesting moment for me. That was a lot of fun. Prank wise, one of my favorite things to do is to prank the people that work for me.
Okay.
Nothing's better than paying somebody and they have to tolerate your nonsense.
Sure.
Okay. I mean, part of the reason why I became the boss was just to prank people.
Mess with people all day.
So one time I had one of our guys who really gets uncomfortable. He has a tendency of blacking out if he gets overstressed. And so the goal I have in life is to make him black out. It brings me joy to make him black out. All right. Because now that I know that, we're just going to operate this way.
You got it. You have to.
So one time I stole his keys. And I unroll his window. I roll it down. It's in the summertime. So it looks like and I take broken glass and I put it all around his window ledge. So it looks like somebody shattered his glass and got into his he has like this brand new Buick, right? And first I'm like, hello, are you like 78 years old, dude? But whatever, it's a Buick.
You got any more of those originals in there?
Yeah. He's like, what? Yeah. He's like, hey, you guys want some Charleston shoes? And
he has just a bunch on tap. It's a lid glove box.
Anybody want a V8? I got one that's chilling here.
Chilling. I love this guy. I don't even know him.
Yeah.
Mr. Buick driver.
Put a little Metamucil in a V8 and it goes down real
Anybody
nice.
got a cough drop?
Nice car, blue hair.
So I roll his window down. I put this glass around his window, and the glass is shattered. And it looks like it's shattered. He comes out and he is like cussing mad. He's like so upset. And I'm like, dude, I said, I think I saw some youth kids here from the youth ministry.
Street youth.
Yeah. I'm like, them daggum teenagers, you know? And so it was great. It was just a fun moment. And then he actually called AAA, and they came out, and I was like, "Oh, the window's been rolled down the whole time." I forgot to tell you that. So it was kind of a big deal.
Kind of caught up and everything.
Yeah. I think he got fined for it by AAA or something.
Oh my God! Did he ever black out at all?
That's what it didn't happen that time. I was kind of disappointed, but
come on.
You know, yeah, I probably could have. I've always had it. Has anyone ever seen Dexter, the TV show? Anybody remember Dexter?
I've seen a little bit of it. Yeah.
The whole premise of Dexter, which it's a little graphic and there's some nudity, so please don't watch it with your children. Watch it with your wife if you're married. My wife and I would watch it, and every time he goes to kill somebody, he saran wraps them to a table because he's like OCD. You know, the whole point is he has this compulsion to want to kill people. His dad was a cop, and his dad knew he had this serial killer mindset. Yeah. So he trains him to kill bad guys that escape the law system, you know.
Okay, yeah.
So he's a hero, but you know he's kind of like this. It's
like
very twisted, very vigilante, and he's actually a blood analysis for the police department of Miami, so he can learn about cases, and then he can go get these bad guys and get justice for people, right? So it's kind of twisted, but it's a great plot, you know. And part of what he would do, his ritual of killing people, was to saran wrap them naked to a table, and then stab them, and none of the blood splatters. You know, it stays in that saran wrap, and then he cuts them all up and throws them in the ocean. You know, this is the premise of the whole 8 seasons we watch of killing people every day. So
we know where this is going.
Yeah, he's going to be killing them here pretty soon. And I always wanted to pull a prank. I've never done this. This is really extreme. Like, this is me on the edge right here.
Yeah.
I want to saran wrap somebody to a table.
Okay.
Sure.
Butt naked.
All right. Okay.
Okay. Either they can either be involved in the prank or really like actually knock them out and do it. Like, I'm not sure which one I want to do just yet. Saran wrap them to it, and then into like somebody's office. And when somebody walks in, they see them and they're saran wrapped, and they maybe they're muzzled. You know, they have like some saran.
Well,
they're going, you know, and their eyeballs, and they're like, if you don't tell them about it, they're really freaked out. They have no idea what's really going on, right?
Yeah.
And they're struggling because they won't be able to break out of this.
No.
And then put a knife right on the table. And so what would your natural instinct be to do?
Try to cut yourself out?
Well, you're stuck, but if you walk in and see it, what would you want to do? You're going to try to free them, right?
Yeah.
Have a cop bust in right when you're approaching him with a knife.
Yeah.
And be like, you're busted. You're trying to kill this person.
Right.
And they're like, and they don't know who you are. Or like, whatever. It's this whole crazy scenario, right?
Sure.
And then be a big prank at the end.
Like Dexter's playing on DVD in the background.
I want that, but my problem is I'm afraid I will really traumatize some people.
Well, you know, I'm not a psychologist, but
I'm going to say this. You got to break a few eggs to make an omelet, okay?
That's so true.
If I got to screw a few people up in the process,
yeah, right.
Who am I to judge that, right? Hey, get over it.
We should get it on YouTube.
It's a joke, and now we're going to have a lot of hits, so let's make this happen. That's been my dream prank to pull someday.
Oh, my gosh.
On somebody. I think it's a pretty good prank.
It's intense, yeah. That will definitely change some lives.
Amen. So, yeah, that's
awesome.
it.
Oh, my gosh. So many questions. How are we on time?
I don't know.
Time. 1:21. All right. So closing remarks. Anything we get the word out on? Share anything on social media? People can follow you.
Yeah. I love Instagram. I haven't done. Is it Periscope? Is that the new thing with the video?
Yeah.
Johnny's giving me the thumbs up.
Yep.
I haven't done Periscope yet, but I'm interested in it. So I've been creeping on other people's Periscopes.
Yeah.
But is it over? Is it like beyond cool now, or is it still that?
No, it's going up.
It's going up, so it's still on the swing. It's still
owned by Twitter, so
Twitter's still. Are they going to merge it together somehow?
Well,
I don't know.
I don't know. They bought them out, but I don't know if they'll. Like, you can do like @ on the Twitter handle on Periscope, and it'll tag on Twitter and stuff.
You know, I've never loved Twitter. I don't know about you guys.
I am not a Twitter guy. I have a Twitter account, but I'm not active with it.
You have to be. I think you have to be involved a little bit in each thing if you want to reach certain people. Because some people are just like diehard Twitter people, and some are diehard Facebook and Instagram.
Here's a reality, though. The only real purpose for Twitter, in my opinion, is for to see celebrities.
Yeah.
Like people that you want to hear from.
Mm-hmm.
It has no social component to it really, like it used to. Like you can at people, and like you guys got real fortunate to get some people to respond back to you, like me being one of them.
That was one.
But,
Doug, LeBron,
yeah.
Nelly's next.
Yeah, see that's my crew. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Sure.
Rolling deep.
And so I just don't know. I feel like in a community effort, it doesn't really make sense, you know?
Yeah.
Like Facebook, there's a lot more community to it. Instagram, I love.
Yeah.
So you can follow me on Instagram. That's my favorite right now. My wife told me to kind of simmer down on the filter colors because
You do the filter colors.
well, for us ginger pasty people, we like to feel like we can be tan every once in a while.
Sure.
And the only way that's happening is with a lot of filter.
Right.
Little lark.
And
little inkwell.
Yeah, and so
I like the moon filter. Have you used that one?
Is that black and white?
It's a black and white one, but I don't know.
Probably
it pops.
have.
in our church we have like those cool, I don't know if they're called hipsters anymore, but those cool kids that like have like 10,000 followers on their Instagram and like 20,000 followers, and like every time they post something like look at my cup of coffee, they get like 8 bazillion likes.
Yeah. I don't know.
I asked them one time, I'm like, hey, what do I got to do to like step up my Instagram game? And they're like, you need to lay off the filters, pastor. Like they told me that's not what like real legit people do. Like they don't filter.
Oh, man,
So now I
totally
feel like the guy with khakis above my belly button. Like, hey kids,
Charleston Jew.
I want to be cooler. Get in my Buick.
It's a LeSabre.
4-star. So.
So what is your Twitter or your Instagram handle?
I think it's Doug_Garasic.
Okay, Doug Garasic.
You like how I did that little bit of radio doing there?
WW.
You see how I kind of I held out that C.
I felt it.
Yeah, right.
I've been working on. You guys know Robert Siegel? He's from All Things Considered.
Yeah.
All Things Considered. I've been working on his voice a little bit.
This is All Things Considered. I'm Robert Siegel.
That's
Very
powerful.
good. I'm working on it.
You've got a natural gift for this.
Thank you, sir.
I don't.
I'm Robert Siegel.
For mimicry.
Mimicry.
Mimicry?
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, thank you.
Anybody
I'll
that
take
can
it.
sing. Because it's an ear thing.
Yeah.
It's not a voice thing. It's an ear thing.
You're spot on with that. Yeah. And I can't sing to save my life. And people who can sing can hear different notes and different sounds.
Yeah.
That people like us just can't.
Remember you saying that? I'm like, I think that's true because
I would agree with
learning
that.
some stuff.
Yeah, it is true.
There's
But
no
I said-
science behind that, but I agree with it.
Well, I said it because it's true.
It's true. You
wouldn't
read on the internet.
Come on.
Science.
Science. It was fun too. We had Jay Moore call our show, which
That's
is
crazy.
the guy that has 1 million downloads. I was on Twitter one night, and so now we're starting. We'll see if this goes anywhere, but I'm starting just every couple of days just tweet at different celebrities.
Matt's
So
been empowered.
yeah, one time. So
Yeah, you've given permission that this works.
yes.
And now you're going to go to that well till it's dry. I mean, you're going to, even if it is dry,
It might
Right.
already
you're going
Probably
to
already
keep
dry.
going and keep going
The grass is brown
because
over
you
this.
don't care. It
Every
worked.
celebrity is going to be so
one
mad at
time.
Jay Moore for doing that.
Yeah.
You're the one.
I'm
Why did you
so sick of
encourage
this
him?
podcast person. You don't know, leave us
Who is
alone.
this guy? Yeah, so I sent out a couple. I sent out one was to at Taylor Swift and at Jimmy Fallon.
Well, let me ask you this: like, do you feel like I appreciate you're swinging for the fences here. I mean,
Anytime.
This is like,
Yeah.
I mean, you are going after the most popular girl in high school, and
Yeah.
you've been in the band. Okay,
Sure.
like you're going
Trombone
for it.
player, right
I mean,
here.
I feel like this is every '90s movie I grew up on. Your life right now. Okay,
Yeah.
You're going for Jennifer Love Hewitt.
Yeah.
Yes,
you're
thank
going
you.
After that.
Matt's going to be standing in front of Conan's house with this boombox over his head.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
You're
right.
If I could find it.
You're going for it. Yeah. My question is, do you work your way up? Do you earn the Jimmy Fallon?
I will take whatever I can get. So, because you never know how people are feeling. Like, Jay Moore called, left us a 50-second
When he was walking his dog.
Walking his dogs.
It was a timing thing. Because if
Yeah.
he had done it 20 minutes earlier
Yep.
or an hour earlier or the night before,
Yeah.
it might not have worked out that he's just, with his phone,
Yep.
all of a sudden, walking his dog, checking Twitter, and then like, yeah, I'll do this.
Yeah.
Right.
And Jay, I think
he was
like
in a
that.
free moment, and
Yeah.
you thought this is great. Now you said he called you.
He called.
Did you send him your number? Is that what you
We
did?
did. We put the hotline number,
Okay, got
1-614-992-DUDE.
Okay, say it again for me.
1-614-992-DUDE. Or 3833. But,
I like dude better.
So I did, I said that. I put the number there. And I also tagged like Barack Obama and Conan and some other people. But
I think would be fun is to have the guest, like me, tag a friend that's like a level up in status than we are.
Oh,
It's like a call out.
You know what?
It's a call.
That's
idea.
genius.
Yeah.
It's like the.
I'll
it's
send
like
you
the-
my bill.
It's like the scavenger.
You can keep the gun.
Have you ever seen that scavenger hunt where you start off with a paper clip,
Yes.
right, and then you got to make 20 trades,
Right.
and every trade has to be bigger than the
Right,
previous
yeah,
trade.
yeah.
And so you
I love this.
start off with this paper clip, and you end up with like a car that's like broken down.
A D-lister like me, and then you're working your way up to C, B,
So okay,
A.
let's see. Who would
Well,
be
like my circle is church folk more than you
Sure.
know non. But like I would call out my friend Matthew Barnett, who's the Dream Center director in L.A.
Yeah,
who
yeah.
he has a lot of real celebrity friends. Like he's
Yeah.
legit celebrity. Right?
like he earned it? He's not just like a hack from way
so
back
like
me.
Blake Griffin goes to his church, right? You
I don't know who that is.
Basketball
Oh, my
player.
gosh.
Okay.
Bieber has gone to his church. Justin
Okay.
Bieber. How do you say it? Beaver or Bieber?
Beaver.
Okay.
What
Yeah.
do you mean?
That'll be
His funny story is, I don't want to take it from him, but Stevie Wonder one time came to his church, showed up at
Really?
his church, and it was a full, the whole service, they didn't know this, that Stevie was coming beforehand.
Yeah.
The whole service was all about a visual expression.
Oh no.
And so the whole service was just visual things with no words.
Jeez.
Got him!
Oh my gosh.
So they said Stevie just sat there and smiled the whole time.
Oh,
Had no
yeah,
idea
I'm
what
sure
was
he's a
going
sweet
on.
guy.
Isn't
Yeah.
there a conspiracy theory that Stevie Wonder actually isn't blind?
That would be incredible.
Google it. I think there's like a thing. There's like a video of him like on stage like doing something that people are
Really?
like, "Whoa, how could you do that?
How
and
could
be
you
blind?"
know
Like he
that?
reached for some. I don't know what it was.
Yeah.
But there's some sort of conspiracy.
Hit a
theory.
bow and arrow. He's playing.
But here's the
piano.
truth. Okay,
Hits
if
the
we
target.
found out he wasn't blind,
Yeah.
I'm sure the public would be outraged beyond belief.
like a Milli Vanilli thing.
But he's still talented.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I would actually have mad respect for him. Mm-hmm. You pulled off one of the best swindles.
Yeah, it's a long con.
That's a long con.
Definitely the slow clap. Just the-
All day, all day.
Yeah.
It's like if you've ever seen the movie The Prestige,
Yeah.
Yep.
the slow con.
Rub a
Yeah.
bowl. Rub a bowl. Christian Bale talks weird. Yeah. We just talked about it with Sam. Like, what? What's with your accent? It's weird.
He never has a great accent.
Yeah.
Christian Bale,
It's all over the
be
place.
an American. That's who you are.
Yeah.
You know, though
You're not
his-
Johnny Depp. Get
His
over it.
first movie was Crimson Sun. Was when he was a kid and he played like a British kid, and
Yeah?
that was like a long.
He's done
time
that
ago.
multiple times.
Yeah.
I will tell you, let me give you my best Christian Bale movie of all time,
Okay.
Reign of Fire.
Oh yeah, Matthew
The
McConaughey.
dragon movie?
Matthew McConaughey, before they both became stars.
Yeah. I remember seeing it. Didn't,
Killer script.
okay.
Graphics were good for the time. Still decent, but
like
you watch it today,
2000s or
yeah,
something?
like early 2000s. You watch it today, you're like, okay, like it would
Yeah.
definitely be sharper.
Mm-hmm.
Killer script. They both acted awesome in it. And I mean, I said, man, that movie did not get the credit it deserved.
Like Dragonheart on steroids.
It was way better than Dragonheart. I mean, it blew, in my opinion, blew Dragonheart away.
Wow.
And then I owned it on DVD, would watch it regularly, and then my dog one time chewed it up. So if anybody has it out there, if you ship it to me, I will send you pictures of me in a Borat swimming suit.
Oh, that's cool.
okay.
Or
That's
whatever
a
other
great
swimming
deal.
suit you want me to.
Three Stooges.
You won't like it, I promise.
Well, they got the address of the church. I mean,
Yeah.
just Google the church. They can find
Yeah.
it. That's great.
So-
that's awesome.
Send it to me.
Well, we're about out of time.
Yep.
But thank you so much
Thank you,
for coming
guys.
on. This was so easy and hilarious.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Let's get some other celebrities, some real ones.
Yeah. Hey, whatever
I'm calling out Matthew Barnett,
Okay. Thank
and
you.
I'm calling.
I appreciate that.
And I'm calling out the Pope.
Wow.
Okay.
Those are
Suge Knight.
They're Suge Knight.
Real active on Twitter.
Yeah, Suge Knight, we need you on the show, and I want to be called in if you get on the show.
Oh, absolutely.
Suge Knight is waiting somewhere to be asked to do something.
Yes.
If we get Suge Knight, I want to release a demo tape for him to listen to. And so
We could reenact the McDonald's Brookfield.
I want the whole thing,
moment.
and I'd like to wrap my way off the show if that's okay right now. Right? 'Cause there might
Well-
be somebody who wants
Well,
me.
we do outro music, so is there a specific song that we would play?
I just
or-
want to do it right now. Freestyle.
Yeah, do it.
Well, we will do our standard outro music, but you wrap yourself out. Go for it.
Okay. I'm gonna do a little bit from my boy Tupac Shakur.
Please.
Can we give you some kind of rhythm?
No.
Okay.
I don't know if I don't even want to.
I'll get screwed up.
Okay.
I see no changes. Can a brother get a little peace? The war in the East and the war in the Middle East. I got a war on poverty, but I got a war on drugs so the police can bother me. Hey, I never do a crime I didn't have to do. So don't let them cock you up, slap you up, jack you up, or pimp slap you up. Yeah, you got to hold your home. You know, they get jealous when they see you on your mobile phone. Okay.
Yeah, I know.
That's
they
all I
do.
want to
They
do.
get really jealous. That's
Wow.
awesome.
Sorry.
I don't want to say anything more about it. It was great. Standalone. Dropped the mic. Doug, thanks so much for coming on. Hilarious. All right. We'll talk to y'all real soon.